What's going on, Dragon Ball fam? Huge shout out to our boy, Nick Larson. He stepped in for me today. I wasn't feeling too good. It was Marquise and Robert. They needed a team man. I'm like, please, someone step in. Nick did it in a big way, helping them to get the W in Team War. So now Nick, Robert, and Marquise have a 2-round bye. Take it easy, boys. And he did it playing Blue Baby, man. All right, talk about it. Take it easy.
Alright, so Blue Baby, we did a Gunslinger version of Team Wars, so Blue Baby was probably the better option because everybody is now having to basically mainboard Silver Bullets, and when you go up against Black, that's probably the hardest matchup. Baby is probably the only blue deck that can compete going forward into the format no matter what, and basically these two are probably one of the more consistent blue that you'll ever see going into the format.
Alright.
So, custom-made leader.
Yep.
For people who don't know, when you place in your leader area, you get the Planet Tuffle field card, and then when you swing, he draws 1. When you're at 4 or less, you get to draw 2 and awaken. On the backside, so he has the Overlord mechanic, which is you place a servant to the bottom and draw. When he attacks, he draws a card, and then activate main. Once per turn, you look at the top 3. You get to add a counter into your hand, and then you have to bottom deck it. Even if you whiff off the leader, you have to bottom deck a card. So most of the time, if you have a big hand, I don't ever go into this with the activate main because you won't have to see any more cards. It's more if you need to get rid of any cards that you don't need to see in your hand. And then the planet card that he gets to play, basically it reduces all of your mono blue counter cards by 1, and so it gives you a way to activate counters when you didn't think that you can activate them. And then once per turn, you can take a life and then bottom deck a card from your hand to the deck. The Self-Awakening you don't really need in this format. It's just there if you need to do it, and it's for the stall matchups in general. All right, going into the main board, the counter plays. So we have the 3 Trunks.
Oh, I need 3.
In this, so I feel like this is way more situational than anything because he's a 2-cost, and in this deck you don't really need a Unison all the time to make it a 1-cost. So you don't need to see all of them, and if you have 4, I would rather be running the Gohan instead because he's a instant. You have to bottom deck a card. When this, you have it live on turn 2, but this creates more cards than this card because he hits everything and he only hits cards that are bigger than your energy. 3 of the Mechie Orb. The Whis version of the deck, basically he's just here for a 15k body after you use him. The only times I see him playing is if against aggro, because this is just a instant negate that restands energy, and then he's a 15k body for against aggro, like Red Broly.
How do you like that at 3? I know a lot of people play 4.
I don't like it at 4 just for the simple fact that if you have the if your opponent has a Silver Bullet out, this becomes basically a 2-drop, and it's a 2-drop negate that really doesn't do much as soon as the Silver Bullet hits. Probably the best card that's ever came out for the Blue Baby is the 4 Diabolic Parasite. This card basically stops any deck from playing as long as they don't have a Silver Bullet out. Basically, you pay 2. You basically pay 1 for this, but you pay 2, and then anything 4 or less is put at the bottom, and then he has the Overlord mechanic to bottom deck a Servant. So this is a 1-drop that stops any 4-drop in the game that doesn't have Deflect. For the Big Ape, I play 3 of them. I never wanted to see more than 1 a game because it only takes 1 to be an impact. Basically, it has a counterplay, which you can bottom deck anything 7 or less. It has the counter, so it negates any counterplay for it. And then when this card is played, you draw a card, and then you choose a card ignoring barrier, and it gets bottom deck. I played a hatch matchup in the last round, and this card comes in big because as soon as they play cards, I can't get rid of them unless I see this card. Because as soon as something sticks, most of the time, the hatch cards are too big that all of my energy that I need to get rid of, it won't affect it at all. So this is like a cute little thing that I think is good for Gunslinger. 2 of the 4-drop that if you look at the bottom card, then you can play a counter. So what you can do with this card is activate main, you look at the bottom card, and any counter play you could just play for free. So what you do most of the time is you use a Gohan to swing with it. It's a 25k. You bottom deck it and then bring it back out. So then you basically get 2 attacks that are like double strike pretty much, and then you have another 20k double strike that can threaten life. One of the biggest things that you can do in this deck is run a 1-drop Mafuba. Mafuba is basically there for any problem card that I need, so like a secret rare that you need to get rid of. So like the Broly SS4 Broly secret rare like hurts this deck a lot. So you basically just Mafuba it, and then its permanent is gone. And then you have Golden Revenge to recycle any of your negates. So you can recycle the Gohan, you can recycle your Diabolic, you can recycle the Trunks. Basically, you can recycle anything that you need to stall the game out so that you can get into your bigger cards. Going into the Unison package, so we have the 2 of the 5-drop. This is the 5-drop counter that basically bounces something back to hand. With this deck, it's possible to play this, hard cast this from your hand for 4, and you don't really neg off of any of it. And then we have our 1 Goku and then our 3 Gogeta. The reason why I didn't want to play the Baby Unison is because if you don't go up against a stall matchup, if you pay 3, you're pretty much going to die as soon as you play it. So this is for anything that goes into the long game. If they don't have anything to bottom deck with its ability, then they can't swing for a turn. So this is like another Baby Hatch secret rare. And then the Gogeta is to basically save you from any aggro, because they're going to kill either this card or any Saiyan that you have out on the battlefield. Because when you have a Saiyan in rest mode while this is card out, your leader doesn't take damage. So they either kill this or they kill the Saiyan that's in rest mode. Going into some of the utility cards, 3 Intersecting Fates.
Talk about this.
This card is probably one of the best cards that Blue has ever got, because this is a free Scry 2, add a card to your hand, and then you restand an energy. So you just get a free card for basically paying 1, and then it untaps. When you go first, you probably want to see this before anything, because then if you're missing a counterplay you need later on in the game, this card will grab it to you. And it grabs any mono blue card, basically. 3 Beam. I only played 3 Beam because, well, the deck space is tight for going into Gunslinger, and I didn't want to play Dimension Magic knowing that every deck has a silver bullet that can basically destroy this. So Beam gives me an extra option to untap my energy when I need it. And then basically the best card that's a promo for here is the 4 Revenge Big Bang Attack. This is basically Dimension Magic with an extra draw ability. With the planet, it becomes a 1-drop, so it's just like Dimension Magic. Super combo of choice, I played the 4 Vegeta. I wanted to play 2 Vegeta and 2 Zamasu, but I had to accommodate because Marquise was playing the Zamasu super combo. So I basically played these for the simple fact that if my opponent ever got me to 4 or less life, they weren't going to kill me as easily as they would if I had the Zamasus. The Zamasu is good for aggro, but this is still a good substitute. And then personal favorites for me, I played 4 of these Bardocks. So basically what it does is when he's in energy, you can pay 2 to evolve on top of another one. So you basically can just charge 1 and your opponent will forget about it, and then you play him, and when he's played, you draw a card. At the end of turn, he restands, and then you add the top card of your deck to your energy. So basically you get a free double strike swing for 2 energy in this.
How do you like this in this thing? I know a lot of people are not onto this yet in Blue Baby. How do you feel about this card going forward?
I feel like this card is gonna basically give the pressure that Baby needs. Obviously, like we have Obuni, we have the new Gotenks that came out, we have Janemba, we have the Milkman. This is an extra body that you can play on turn 2 if your opponent is playing the stall strategy, that it's going to do damage to them. And this allows you to see an extra card, and basically it's another way to survive if you need to have it in the late game. Next card, we have the 3 Gotenks. This card is, I think this is the substitute for Janemba or Milkman. The reason being is because if your opponent activates a counter, you get to choose all of their battle cards, ignoring barrier, and they get to go to the owner's hand, and then you untap 2. You untap 2 energy. So basically, if you're going up against a deck that has the silver bullets, you can basically return them to your hand if they negate this attack. Or if they have any Red Broly, if they use Wolf Fang Fist, if they do Yamcha counterplay, anything like that, this ability allows them to reset their board. So basically, if they're on their backside, yeah, so you return their whole field, and they have to figure out what they're going to do next with their abilities. Then, of course, we have the 3 Obuni. Obuni is probably still the best blue card that's ever been made. The Gotenks is pretty much just the substitute for him. If you don't think Obuni is a good target for your turn 4, then Gotenks is probably the best. And then I run 3 Secret Rares. The Fu Shrouded. Fu Shrouded almost won me my Hatch matchup. We were going into turns, but so it ended up in a tie, but the Fu really shuts off Hatch from doing anything because as soon as they go to play any of their cards, they have to activate effects. So this stops everything that they have to do. The Baby Hatch. Baby Hatch is probably the best blue Secret Rare ever printed as well. I was debating on running the Pycon, but the Pycon doesn't affect the board as much as he does. And then the last one, Android 17.
How many did you get with the Android 17 today?
So I didn't actually get to play him until going into Hatch. Hatch, I basically was playing the tie, so I did this so that they didn't have anything to combo with when they went into their following turn. I actually misplayed on the Hatch matchup. If I basically would have played the Turning the Tide while I had this out, I would have hit them for 4. Because I would have swung with this, they would have took the 3. I would have swung with this, and if they didn't have anything to out combo it, then that would have saved the game. So that is the deck. Going forward, I think the Turning the Tide should be ran at 2, because if you don't see it, then it feels really bad in the stall matchup. And if you're looking for a way out of any deck that has to stall, this is probably the answer.
All right. Congratulations. You got a 2-round bye. Thank you for stepping up for me, and we will see you next time, man.